Okay, so welcome back to another Sabbath class. And today's topic that we're going to talk about is the feminine. What did I name this class? Did anybody see that? Hold on. Not I jumped straight into the class and don't know where I'm at. Today's class is going to be on the power of the feminine scripturally, because I feel like has been a lot of lies told on Yahweh, of course, about that Yahweh hates women, that women in the Bible women scripturally are not represented or are strictly subservient, are the root of all of the problems. Make it so bad I might even show y'all a video that I came across this week. Crazy word. That basically people have come up with preconceived notions of the Almighty's design of a patriarchy or a nation where men sit in the seat of rulership of the nation. It's been a lot of lies and confusion and misinformation around the power of women, the importance of women, the importance of femininity scripturally. And I want to address a few things and point out a few things that I'm sure the majority of people are missing. I've said in other classes, and I'll continue to say that the most important characters in the entire Old Testament, the Tanakh, the most important characters in the book are all female or feminine, all of them. And we're going to go over some of that today. I'm going to point that out today, how people think that the Almighty has not addressed the female and the feminine and that she holds no significance. But I'm going to show you where, according to what thus saith Yah, the feminine principle holds the utmost significance throughout all scripture. And some female characters hold the utmost significance throughout all scripture. So that is the topic that we are going to be talking about today. I'm going to absolutely obliterate some of the ideals of gender roles that a lot of men have. Not men, let me not just throw that on the men, because I think that these gender roles have also seeped into the psyche of women. I'm gonna obliterate some of the gender roles that women have been dictated to and have internalized as well. So that's what we're gonna be getting into today on this Sabbath day class. Of course, before we get started, I'm gonna read the 10 Commandments. So we can bring our attention to what thus saith Yah as far as his laws and his statutes. The 10 Commandments being a covenant and a set of principles that the Almighty's relationship with his people is set upon. So we always gonna start off by reading those as a weekly reminder of how we are supposed to be thinking and behaving and what we're supposed to be teaching to ourselves and to the youth. So let's do that. Let's get into the commandments. The commandments can be found in the 20th chapter of Exodus. Let me was I still there? No? It's crazy. Hold on. That's my bad. I'm trying to put I'm trying to put the commandments on my screen. I done clicked on my my little I got it saved as a bookmark, and it clicked off the whole class in general. So hold on, sorry about that. I'm gonna put the commandments on screen for the sake of the video. That's what I was trying to do, and I'm doing it out of the Holy Word. Like, you gotta come in muted, big.
I'm trying to.
I'm like, what is happening? It's all good. Good to see you, big. We about to the class is being recorded. We are about to read the commandments. And let me just shut down a couple of things first before we get into the commandments. All right. All right, let me share my screen. All right, can y'all see my screen? Let me see here. Y'all can see my screen, right? All right, so on my screen, on the left-hand side of the screen, I'm reading this out of a Holy Names Bible so that when I replace the Almighty's name and title, people who are chiming in, they can see that I'm not just making it up. So let me see here. Can I? No, that's as big as I can make it. So all right. So we in the 20th chapter of Exodus. I'm gonna start reading in verse 1. In Exodus, the 20th chapter, starting in verse 1, it says, "And Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh, your Elohim, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohims before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh your Elohim in vain, for Yah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yah your Elohim gives you. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Hallelujah. Now, do we have any questions or comments about the 10 Commandments at all, or anything that y'all have recognized in reference to the commandments? Every time I read the commandments, something sticks out one way or the other, but it's so much greatness that we can observe about who Yah is and how righteous the Creator is based on his laws and statutes. That's how you establish a relationship with the Creator, because that's the way that you get to know the Creator. So outside of being able to physically interact with a person or an entity, the only way for, if I was not here and you were going to get to know me, the only thing that you would have to get to know me by is what I leave behind as far as my thoughts maybe that I've recorded in the book or something that you see on video. So what we have in reference to the Almighty is we have his laws and his statutes as far as his principles and the things that he stands on and how he sees things to establish a relationship with the Creator, to get to know the Creator, the likes, the dislikes, the good, the bad. The only way that we have to experience the Almighty in that way is to attach ourselves and begin to execute the Almighty's laws and statutes. That's the only way to get to know the Creator. If you do not know the Almighty's laws and statutes, you cannot say that you know the true and living Creator. You do not know the true and living Creator. You may have heard of the true and living Creator. You may have your own personal ideals about the true and living Creator. But if you don't know the Creator's laws and statutes, you don't know the Creator. You don't know how he feels about a thing and how he sees a thing and how he judges a thing. So very important. If we don't have any questions or comments about the commandments from anybody on here, then let's get into today's class. As I said, this class's title is called The Power of the Feminine. In the first place that I want to go, we're going to go to the book of Judges. We're going to go to the book of Judges, and we are going to go to the 4th chapter. Now, the book of Judges is an interesting book because you have, we were just discussing that a lot of times, the majority of time when people are talking about scripture and the Bible in general, when they think about religions especially, they associate the Bible with morality only. What's right and wrong, sin as far as person to person. And what I was explaining earlier is that the entire Old Testament is not just dealing with morality. A person's morality and integrity is one aspect of the book, is one aspect or one sect of rules and laws and statutes that the Almighty has established. But the Almighty was establishing Israel as a sovereign nation. The Almighty's laws and statutes were the blueprint to the government of that nation, to the design of that nation, to the structure of that nation. And that includes politics, that includes military action, that includes economic structure, that includes family structure, that includes psychology, that includes sciences, that includes trades and the building of things. All of these things are dealt with in the Almighty's laws and statutes, not just laws and statutes that govern a person's morality. That's what people don't understand. They think that it's just a book of morality. It is not. It is a book of absolute governance on how to govern across all socio-political aspects of a nation of people. You understand? So it's bigger than just the rules and regulations of morality. That's what people don't understand. And we can look to the book to get an understanding of things greater than just of morality, to get an understanding of how things are governed, who can govern, who is allowed to govern. People have taken this book and ran with it. They feel like men are just over women. That is not scriptural. That is not supported in scripture whatsoever. That is not the message of scripture at all. When we're dealing with governance, you have a government of the household, meaning the government of a man and woman that comes together in marriage and they share a household. Within that government, the man has been given rulership over his woman within that government. But what does that look like? People have taken it upon themselves to come up with their own conclusions as to what that means and what that even looks like. People think that women are supposed to solely be here to help men. That's supposed to be their whole entire purpose. You are supposed to be focused on the household, and you're raising kids and having kids and cleaning and cooking, and through all of these ideals of Europeans version of patriarchy, they have concocted a version or a vision of what they feel like womanhood is, and what the creator has ordained in reference to her role and her importance and her ability to attain and hold power X, Y, and Z. But they have not done it according to what thus said Yahweh in this book. They haven't read it. They don't know anything about it. So we're going to tackle some of those ideals today. And a great story to do that, a spectacular story to do that, that is going to obliterate all types of ideals that we might have about women, is going to be, we're going to deal with Deborah today. We're going to deal with some other people too, but definitely Deborah. And Deborah was a judge. This is the reason why I was saying that. When the children of Israel were delivered out of the hands of the Egyptians, the children of Israel had a period where they went through the wilderness. They had a period of time before they came into their own land and stepped into their own sovereignty, per se. Or they had a period of time before their monarchy was set up. And their monarchy meaning the establishment of the structure of rulership, coming from the establishment of kings and kingdoms down to the people. So before the monarchy was established, before the nation was established to have that structure, what the children of Israel had, where they had judges. So before there was a king and queen in Israel, the Almighty established judges. And who were judges? Judges were these people who basically had rulership or sat in the seat of judgment over certain sects and parts of Israel that people would go to for judgment. And you see some of this, what we went over last week, when you had Moses dividing his legislative power amongst captains and amongst, he broke up, instead of doing it all himself, he put rulers and captains over thousands and hundreds and fifties, and you understand. So these are people who were sought out when you had a problem, when something needed to be solved. You would go to the judges. And the book of Judges is based around some of these people. And not only were they judges, the majority of judges were also leaders of war, because they were established during the time where Israel had to go and take their land from somebody else living on it. And they had to be led through all of these wars. So you saw Moses, and then you saw Joshua, and then after the death of Joshua, then you saw these other judges pop up that would lead the children of Israel in and out of their various battles. So the judges were rulers. They were war generals and war captains, and people who sat in the seat of judgment that the people would seek to for judgment to clear up disputes or anything like that. Just to give you an overview of who the judges were. That's the reason why it's a book of Judges. So in the 4th chapter of Judges, we're going to be introduced to a judge named Deborah, a woman. I'm going to start reading in the first verse of Judges, the 4th chapter, and it reads, "And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of Yahweh when Ehud was dead." So Ehud was a different judge. The people who did after Ehud, they did evil in the sight of Yahweh again. And you're going to see in verse 2, it says, "And Yahweh sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles." So the Almighty sold the children of Israel into the hands of King of Jabin, king of Canaan. Now the captain of Jabin's army, his name was Sisera. This is why it says the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. So Sisera who was the captain of Jabin's army. He resided in Harosheth. Okay, verse 3. And the children of Israel cried unto Yahweh, and he had 900 chariots of iron. In 20 years, he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. So for 20 years, this Sisera oppressed the children of Israel, and everybody was crying unto the Almighty and shook by him because he had 900 chariots of iron. Are we familiar with what a chariot is? Does everybody know what a chariot is? Here, let me get us a picture of it up here. Okay. I don't think that's a good picture though. Bring it back to this. Whoever seen it? Every time I think about a chariot, I think about Ben-Hur, that old movie where they was fighting with them chariots. Anyway, here's a picture that I can share. Oh. All right. So let me share this picture with y'all just to make sure that we're on the same page. Can y'all see that picture? That is a picture of a chariot. So this particular Sisera, he had 900 chariots of iron. And, as far as a military weapon is concerned, as far as a military tool is concerned, a chariot is a very powerful weapon because it's pulled by horse. You can move fast, and as you stand on the back of the chariot, you can just basically roll through and wreck shop. A chariot is, chariots are hardcore to have. And this particular ruler, the people who were oppressing the children of Israel at the time, he was armed with 900 chariots of iron. I'm going to read verse 3 again. It says, and the children of Israel cried unto Yahweh for he had 900 chariots of iron. In 20 years, he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. So he had been oppressing the children of Israel for 20 years. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time. Now, in this one verse right here, it's a lot going on. This is huge right here. So Deborah, the first thing that we see about this woman, Deborah, is that Deborah is a prophetess, meaning that Deborah is a female prophet, which means that Deborah gets words from the Almighty dictated to her. Deborah is she's somebody that will come to the people and tell the people what thus saith Yahweh. That's what it means to prophesy, to speak in the Almighty's name. So Deborah was a prophetess. She would come, the words from the Almighty would come through her to the people. First and foremost. So we established that a woman can be a prophetess, first and foremost. Then it says the wife of Lapidoth. The second thing that we need to point out about Deborah is that Deborah is also someone's wife. So as we read about Deborah and she's doing all of these things, I want y'all to keep in mind and to keep in the forefront of your eyesight that this woman, this is somebody's wife. She's married. Okay? She judged Israel at that time. So not only is she a prophet, she's also a judge of Israel. At the same time of being somebody's wife. She's married. This woman right here is not a woman that is concerned about cooking and cleaning and doing laundry and you understand. It doesn't even say whether or not she has children. She could or she could not, but that was not her primary focus for existence and her primary focus of her day-to-day goings on, which we will see. It says, verse 5, and she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. So not only was she a wife, not only was she a prophetess, she was a judge where she would legislate. She legislated. It was a tree that she sat up under where people who had an issue, they would seek after her and they would come to the tree of Deborah to seek her judgment. So this married woman, she was barely even at home. For the majority of her day, Deborah was out under the tree. You understand what I'm saying? It says in verse 6, and she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, has not Yah Elohim of Israel commanded, saying, go and draw towards Mount Tabor, and take with you 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun? Question mark. So Deborah calls up Barak, who is a military captain or a military leader, and she says, has Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, commanded that go and draw towards Mount Tabor and take with you 10,000 men from Naphtali and Zebulun? So this judge, this woman, has called upon the military, and she is about to give the military instruction from Yahweh, saying that this is what Yahweh has commanded. Has Yahweh not commanded that we take 10,000 men from Zebulun and Naphtali and go up towards Mount Tabor? So this is the information that Deborah had to bring to Barak. Verse 7, and I will draw unto you the river, and I will draw unto you to the river Kishon Sisera. So the Almighty is telling Deborah that he's going to draw Sisera to the river Kishon. I'm going to bring Sisera to you at the river Kishon, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into your hand. This is what the Almighty has told Deborah. And Barak said unto her, if you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, then I will not go. So she is telling Barak where he needs to be, how many men he needs to take, because the Almighty has told her where he needs to be and how many men that he needs to take over here, because the Almighty is about to deliver Sisera into their hands. Now let me give y'all the definition of a general, a war general. I should have had this up already, actually. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to share my screen right here just so y'all can see the definition too. If you look up some of the definition of a war general, but right here it says, what is the role of a war general? A title and rank of a senior army officer, usually one who commands units larger than a regiment or its equivalent, or units consisting of more than one arm of the service. Frequently, however, a general is a staff officer. Hold on, because I saw something. I want to get into like all of what a general does. And of course, we're going to be reading according to what a general does according to a European army. But I just want you to see, let's see here, roles of a general. Okay. So a war general's role encompasses strategic planning, operational leadership, and command of large military units, both in combat and peacetime, while also overseeing training and preparation of troops. So I just wanted to share that to give y'all an idea of what a war general is, so that you can understand and put Deborah's role into context, because Deborah is the commander of, or she is in control of, a large regiment, a 10,000 man regiment. She is commanding and strategizing, giving the strategy of what the war regiment is supposed to do. She is the general here. So we see that she's a prophetess, as well as she's a wife, as well as she's a judge. And this is about to explain and encompass her role as a war general. And this particular, the person beneath her in rank that she is instructing, Barak, she is telling Barak that he's to go up with 10,000 men over there at the river to fight against Sisera. And she's telling him how many men that he shall take. And so in the 8th verse, Barak says that he's not willing, he'll go, but the only way that he'll go up is if Deborah comes with him. And this is a woman. So Barak is not willing to go into this war. He is not willing to go into this battle unless Deborah agrees to go with him. Now look at Deborah's response when he says this. Verse 9. And she said, I will surely go with you. Notwithstanding, the journey that you take shall not be for your honor. For Yahweh shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. So when Barak says, I'm not willing to go unless you go, Deborah's like, oh, I'm absolutely going. Because actually, this is not about you having honor in this war. The Almighty is about to deliver Sisera into a woman's hand. This, you understand. Like, I understand that you are the leader of this army and everything, but I'm absolutely going, because this is not about your honor. This is about the Almighty about to sell this fool into my hands, a woman, this wife, this prophet, this, you understand what I'm saying? I just want y'all to pay attention to, or to try to wrap your mind around who the type of woman that this is. And I want y'all to wrap your mind around a lot of the banter that you hear these fools talking about who don't know anything about the Almighty, the Almighty's laws, and what a woman is, who she's supposed to be, as far as a woman being submissive, as far as a woman being in some shape, form, or fashion docile. And that when they're using this language, they're not just talking about in the confounds of their marriage or in the confounds of their relationship with the man who has taken responsibility for them to take care of them. They're talking about in general. They feel like women are supposed to sit in the seat of submission in the presence of men, period. Okay? That is your lot in life, period. Your existence is supposed to revolve around what some man has going on, period. Your existence is supposed to revolve around bearing children and opening your legs and continuing some man's legacy, whatever. What I'm saying is that if that's your choosing to do as a woman, you have that right. That can be your desire to be a wife, to be a homemaker, to sit in that role in your household, 100%. But at the same time, according to how the Almighty designed his community, his nation, women were not relegated to that. Women didn't just have to be that. Women could be prophets. Women could govern. Women could be judges. Not only could women be judges and govern, women could be war generals. We see right here that women could give men orders. We see right here that women could accompany the military into war. We see all of these things right here. And all of these things go against what, some wild beliefs that we currently have, as far as it's crazy. Let me show y'all something important in the New Testament, which is one of the reasons why okay. let's go to, let me show y'all something in the New Testament, which is the reason why we do not adhere to the New Testament. First and foremost, within the New Testament, the Almighty does not speak. In the Old Testament, Yahweh's name can be found over 5,600 times. In the New Testament, Yahweh's name is not found one time. Yahweh's name exists 0 times in the New Testament. The Almighty, thus saith Yah, does not exist in the New Testament. Yahweh has not told anybody anything in the New Testament. His name does not appear there, which is the number one reason why I will never adhere to the New Testament for instruction or scripture, because the Almighty's words is not involved in the book. The Almighty's name is not involved in the book. The Almighty is not credited as speaking anywhere in the book, first and foremost. But if we go into the New Testament, let's see here. If we go into 1 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. Let me get here. I'm sorry. I think it's 1 Timothy 2, the 2nd chapter. Let me see. All right, in 1 Timothy, the 2nd chapter, I'm gonna start reading in verse 7. So 1 Timothy, the 2nd chapter, I just want y'all to see the stark contrast between what thus saith Yahweh and what the book, what it says, some of the teachings of the New Testament is going to teach you. Now we're learning about this woman who was a prophetess and a general and a judge that people sought after to judge the people of the children of Israel. Now pay attention to what's being said in the New Testament. In 1 Timothy, the 2nd chapter, starting in verse 7, it says, whereunto I am ordained a preacher and an apostle. Now you see, who is this? Is this Paul ordaining himself as a preacher and as apostle? I speak the truth in Christ and lie not. That's in parentheses. Pay attention. A teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. This is what someone is proclaiming themselves to be. Notice you don't see that in the Old Testament. It's always what thus saith Yah or who the Almighty ordained. But this person is proclaiming themselves a preacher and an apostle and swearing to you. I pinky swear that I tell the truth. Okay? Cross my heart and hope to die. I tell the truth and I do not lie. I speak the truth in Christ and lie not. A teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becomes women professing goodliness with good works. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. I want y'all to understand where these ideals come from in our society, because this is a Christian nation. This is a heathen Christian nation which has been indoctrinated by this book. So all of these ideals, these negative, horrific ideals that a lot of men carry towards women, I need you to understand that it's coming from their religion of Christianity. The religion of Christianity teaches men that women are to be silent and shamefaced. Hold on, let me read it. Let me rewind. Let's go through it again so that we can get a clear understanding of how outrageous that this is. Okay? Let me go back. In verse 7, whereunto? Hold on, who's reading? Let me just verify because I don't want to tell y'all no lies. Who? Because I believe that this is Paul speaking. Okay, so the Apostle Paul is credited to having wrote the book of the first and second book of Timothy. Okay. Now, if y'all don't know that in the New Testament, these are actually letters, or epistles. An epistle means letter. So a lot of the books of the New Testament are credited as being letters that Paul was writing to these different people. A letter that Paul wrote to the Ephesians, a letter that Paul wrote to the Galatians, a letter that Paul wrote to, you understand, the Corinthians. And, anyway, I'm not going to go off and get far deep into Paul. Just know that Paul is the one who is speaking. And Paul, no Christian anywhere on the whole entire universe can show you where Paul was ordained as a prophet by Yahweh, where he was anointed with the Almighty's holy oil as a prophet by Yahweh, where Yahweh made him an apostle, a disciple, or anybody that was to be feared or adhered to. Nobody in the universe can show you where Yahweh gave Paul that type of authority in any regard. And you'll see in the book of Timothy where Paul, he has ordained himself. Paul is going to tell you how he has ordained himself and how he esteems himself, and what he thinks that you should do as men, and what he thinks that you should do and be as women. This is from the mouth of Paul. This has nothing to do with thus saith Yah. This is the reason why in all of these scriptures and in all of these verses, you're not going to see thus saith Yahweh. The Almighty's name does not exist in the book. Nobody, I don't know why these people think that anybody saying anything in the New Testament should trump or have more authority over what thus saith Yahweh in the Tanakh. They cannot show it to you. They'll argue, they'll fuss, they'll fight, they'll make stuff up. Anyway, this man who has no authority, that is not coming speaking in the Almighty's name at all, which is the criteria for the children of Israel to listen to a prophet and to fear what he's saying, they have to come speaking in the name of Yahweh. This man clearly is not, but let's listen to what he is saying. Let me read verse 7 again. I will therefore that men pray everywhere. So men can pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. A man can pray anywhere. They ain't got to worry about nobody being upset or doubting him. He can do whatever he wants to do. He can lift up his hands wherever. A man can do that. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel. So according to Paul, he wants women to dress modestly, nothing too flashy, no cleavage. You know how your halter top, something showing a little cleavage, something with some holes where your back out, a short skirt, any of that. Paul is like, nah, son. Nah. Think about nuns. Think about the Catholic nuns and how they live their lives, what they wear. Think about the Muslim burqas. When you talk about modesty in reference to women, when it comes from the mind of mortal men, this is what you get. You get burqas. You get nun outfits. And they are basing that on how they know that their hearts and their minds think about the female form. This is the reason why in Muslim countries, if you go outside and you're a woman in some areas, they don't want nothing to show but the whites of your eyes. Because they know the average man, if he see a lock of your hair, it could be up. God forbid he see a piece of your bare exposed flesh, an arm, a forearm. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, hell no. An open toe sandal. Oh, hell no. But you have to get into the psychology of the mind of men. Why, if they coming up with it, why on earth would they want you to walk around in desert heat where it's 80, 90, 100 degrees plus, covered head to toe, to where the only thing that they want exposed on you is the whites of your eyes? Why would they come up with something like that? That has to do with them. That has to do with their mentality and how savage that their minds truly work in reference to you, a woman. That's the only place it can come from. It's not of the creator. That is from the mind of a lustful, insecure, weak, and inferior man. That's where a burqa came from, the mind of that man. Please believe it. And then they convinced the women that this is holy. This is, I'm modest. I'm completely covered. The nun, it don't go that far for the nun, but close. They got everything but this right here. A nun is gonna give you this. At least she could smile. See her smile, see some eyes, but everything else, I'm just saying, I want y'all to understand where these ideals came from, though. It's not based on anything that thus saith Yah. It comes from the mind of insecure, lustful, immature, and envious men. Just without a shadow of a doubt. Anyway, verse 9. It says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety. Why does Paul want the women to be shamefaced? Why the shamefacedness? Not only do your apparel gotta be modest, they want you shamefaced. They want sobriety. They want you like, The Handmaid's Tale. Why? Think about that. Look at what this is saying. This is what Paul is saying. Not only with shamefaced and sobriety, not with broidered hair. Them bust downs y'all love, the braids with the gold things on the end. Oh, hell no. We need 2 braids to the back. Pat, that's it. That's it. That's all. Listen, we don't want none of that broidered hair. We don't want none of that. No braids, nothing. For Paul, that's too much. Paul said, or gold, your earrings, your necklaces, pearls, or costly array. Oh, you think you're supposed to have a Louis bag? You think you're supposed to have the apple bottom jeans and the boots with the fur? Paul was like, no costly array. Make it so bad. I want y'all with in non-length sackcloth. Tailor them some potato sacks. The women. We want y'all faces. We want y'all shamefaced. We want y'all sober. We want y'all modestly dressed. We don't want y'all to have no costly apparel. You don't get no gold, no earrings, no necklaces, nothing. Am I making it up or is that in the book? Okay. But, verse 10, but which becomes women professing goodliness with good works. So, but with good works. So, with good works, verse 11, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. Do we know what subjection means? Let's look it up. Let me look it up. First, let me look it up in my concordance, and then I'll go to a regular dictionary version. So, when Paul is saying that a woman is supposed to learn in silence with all subjection, let's see what he was talking about. With all subjection. Okay, so the definition that they have in the concordance When Paul says a woman is supposed to learn in silence with all subjection, the word subjection translates into subordination. So a woman is supposed to learn in silence and in subordination. Let's look up subordination. Go even further into the definition of exactly what Paul is saying. Okay, let me share my screen right here. For the Christians and the New Testament lovers. Right here. We're saying subordination, definition, or meaning. Placement in a lower class, rank, or position. The act or process of subordinating someone or something, or the state of being subordinated. So placement in a lower class, rank, or position. So now that we have that definition out of the way and we understand that Paul is saying that women are supposed to learn in silence and subordination, or silence and a place of lower rank or position. Let's go back and read that again in Timothy. And this is 1 Timothy, the 2nd chapter, verse 11. Now, after Paul establishes that women are not supposed to adorn themselves in any costly array or gold or pearls, have broidered hair, they're supposed to be shamefaced and sober in modest apparel, he also says in verse 11, let the women learn in silence with all subjection or subordination. But I suffer not a woman to teach. So Paul is saying he does not suffer a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. So not only is a woman supposed to not teach, she's not supposed to have any superiority over a man, period. She is supposed to be silent. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. I want y'all to understand where these ideals come from. Watch what I'm about to show you right here. Verse 13. And for Adam was first formed, then Eve. Okay? And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. I want y'all to understand what these ideals come from. Let me wait till I show y'all this. Hold on. What's his name? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on.
Let it up from the beginning of time to let you know.
Hold on. How do I rewind this? Hold on, because I gotta share my screen. Now check this out. This is a rapper named Slim Thug, and I believe he just shared this the other day. Y'all see my screen? This was 3 days ago. Let me refresh. This was 3 days ago. Listen to this.
Woman do let it up from the beginning of time to let you know that she is not trustworthy. What happened? Let's go. What happened? Eve was the start of it all. And they always say, we gonna catch something. You the one who the devil, y'all the ones who started all the bad. You see how they try to blame it on us when they the ones who from day one always been the one. From day one, it wasn't the man who did that, it was the woman. The woman been the up one from day one, and it ain't gonna ever change. That's just what it is, all right? So that's what you gotta know, fellas. It's not you, it's the woman. The woman is the one from day one, and it's never gonna change. It's gonna always be like that. So at the end of the day, don't let her shame you into thinking you're a bad person. If she wanna go take a nap. If she wanna bring up the Bible, you know where you need to go read. I hope you wrote down I hope you wrote down where that page was. What did the woman do?
Okay. Slim Thug, he just posted that 3 days ago. 3 days ago, Slim Thug was on Instagram sounding just like Paul. Let's go back here to Timothy and read what Paul. I want y'all to understand where these ideals originate. And I want y'all to understand that I'm sick and tired of people affiliating this thought process with anything that thus saith Yahweh, because this did not come from anything that Yahweh said. This is from the minds of men like Slim Thug and Paul. Let me read again. I'm going to start in 12. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgressing. So what he's using to justify why women should be shamefaced, they shouldn't have no costly apparel, no gold, no nothing. They cannot teach. They are to learn in silence. They are to be silent, and they are to be subordinated and subjugated. The excuse that he's using to justify this is because Eve was the first one to bite the apple, and she was the one that is deceived. She is the problem. You see, these are not new ideals. Even though they spit them like they just came up with them at the crap game last night, these ideas are old. And they've been spewing them since the inception of this book. The New Testament is the author of misogyny. Not Yahweh. Please believe it. What Paul is saying goes in direct contradiction to a woman like Deborah. Am I lying? Deborah, while being somebody's wife, she's not no cat lady. She's not some washed up lady that hit the wall that don't know man one. She's a wife. While being a wife, she's also a judge and a military general and a prophet. She's allowed to teach. Not only is she allowed to teach, she's allowed to judge. Let me tell y'all what judgment means. What to judge, what that means. Oh, I done clicked off my notes down here. To judge. The definition of judge and judgment means to pronounce sentence, to vindicate or punish, to govern, to plead. When you sit in the seat of judgment, you vindicate or punish, you pronounce sentences. You sentence people. You give decisions on how somebody is going to be punished or vindicated. You govern people. You plead people's cases. That is the definition to be a judge in the Almighty's book. Deborah she sat under a tree all day. She didn't have to go nowhere. People came to her. People sought after this woman for judgment when they had a problem that they could not solve themselves. Barak was not willing to go to war unless this woman went with him. Does this sound like the same message that's being taught in the New Testament? Not at all. And I don't understand women who are Christians. They're devout. They give their money. They worship these preachers. These preachers can sexually assault children, boys, men. They still follow them. That are preaching these types of ideals and these types of sentiments with the root of this misogyny. Still follow them. It's crack. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to give y'all an example of what is taught in the New Testament in reference to women so that y'all can know where these ideals come from. But no, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the Almighty has not said these words. The Almighty cannot be credited with these thoughts, this thinking. Any of this can be justified in the Almighty's book, which is the Tanakh, which is what we refer to as the Old Testament. You will see nothing of the sort. You only see these misogynistic, ridiculous hatred and punishment of women because Adam Eve ate the apple. You won't see none of that foolishness except for in the New Testament. While I'm thinking about it, let's just go there real quick. Let's go to the 3rd chapter of Genesis real quick so we can get a refresher of the story and what really happened. Okay? Let's read this and break it down. And let me show you how Paul is out of his damn mind and why he is not supposed to be adhered to and his words are not supposed to be observed by anybody. And you do yourself a disservice by trying to adhere to them, male or female. In the 3rd chapter of Genesis, I'm going to start in the 1st verse. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, has Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die, for Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Okay, stay with me. So the serpent has came and told this woman, yeah, no, you're not going to die. You're going to have knowledge of good and evil. You're going to be like gods. You understand? You're going to know the difference between good and evil. Verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now, Eve has been deceived by who? The serpent. Okay? They credit Eve as being the downfall of everybody and the downfall of Adam because Adam listened to Eve. But in all actuality in the story, who did Eve listen to? The serpent. Nobody blames the serpent for anything, though. They don't say the serpent, anyway, just keep that in mind. Because based on the ideology, shouldn't the serpent take the responsibility for deceiving Eve? Because that's what they want Eve to do in reference to Adam. They want Eve to take the responsibility of deceiving Adam into the apple when the serpent deceived her. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let me keep going. And it says in verse 7, and the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And I want to point out that nowhere does it say that Eve took out a pistol and put a gun to Adam's head and made him eat it. It says she just gave it to him. She didn't have to deceive him, coerce him, or nothing. She just gave it to him and he ate it. We're going to talk about that, leaders. We're going to talk about that. Verse 8. And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. So, okay, now Yahweh enters the scene. And when Yahweh enters the scene, who is the first person that Yahweh is looking for? Let's read. In verse 9. And Yahweh called unto Adam and said unto him, where you at? He didn't call out to Eve. The first person that the Almighty is looking for is Adam. And he said, I heard your voice in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. And he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree where I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, look what Adam did. Adam did what for the rest of eternity, all men on the planet are going to do for the rest of their lives when they don't want to take accountability for something. Adam is about to blame his woman. Okay? Straightway, pay attention. The first thing out Adam's mouth, the Almighty is checking for you first. The Almighty questions you as a man first to your face. What's the first thing that Adam said? Verse 12. And the man said, the woman who you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I did eat. But don't get it twisted, because when the Almighty questions Eve, she's going to blame the serpent. Verse 13. And Yahweh said unto the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. You see? It's the same. Just like Adam wanted to blame Eve, Eve wanted to blame the serpent. Everybody is trying to kick the can down the street, but the only place where the can seems to have stuck is on the women. Now let's keep reading. Pay attention. And Yah Elohim said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and thus shall you eat all the days of your life. Now pay attention. Everybody in the scenario is about to be handed a curse or a punishment because everybody in the scenario has done something wrong. Everybody in the scenario has committed a sin. From the serpent to Eve to Adam. But everybody is being punished for their role, their participation, their sin. Nobody else's. The serpent is not being cursed because of Eve's or Adam's sins. The serpent is being cursed because of what he did. Let's keep reading. Verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. This is handed to the woman as her curses or her punishment for being deceived and eating the fruit. Her sorrow and her conception is going to be increased. Her pain and her conception of children. In sorrow shall she bring forth children. And her desire, her inclination is going to be towards her husband. That was given to Eve as a curse, not as a blessing. A woman's propensity to follow behind these mangy ninjas, the reason why it seems to be a sickness and you can't figure it out, like, damn, girl, he ain't shit. Why you don't leave him? I'm just keeping it real. Pay attention to the curse that the Almighty put on this woman. That was her desire being towards her husband was given to her as a curse, not a blessing. And it says, and in addition to your desire being towards him, I'm going to put him in rulership over you. Now, what a lot of people never focus on in this whole entire story is what were things before the fruit was eaten. What was the design before the fruit was eaten? After the fruit is eaten, now your desire is going to be towards your husband. Now he's going to rule over you. But before you ate the fruit, was that the design? Makes you go, If him being put in rulership over you was given to you as a curse for eating the fruit, was he initially your ruler? Food for thought. Food for thought. Let's continue. I got a few things to say about this, but let's continue. Verse 17. So the serpent has been handed his punishment. The woman has been handed her punishment. Now it's Adam's turn. Verse 17. And unto Adam, and this is what's so crazy because this is in black and white. It says, and unto Adam, he said, because. Because is a word that denotes this is the reason why. Okay? Because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife and have eaten the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake, in sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. So what Adam did wrong was he hearkened unto his wife. He listened to his wife over Yahweh, and he ate the fruit. You were guilty. Eve didn't make him eat the fruit. He made a decision to usurp the Almighty's commandment and listen to her, and he ate the fruit. This is the reason why he's about to be punished. Adam is being punished. Adam is being cursed for his participation in his sin. Adam disobeyed the Creator, and this is the reason why Adam was cursed. Yeah, you got caught up listening to this woman. You listened to her, but still, you ate the fruit. I don't give a damn why you ate the fruit. You are going to be punished for eating the fruit. Just like Eve with the serpent. Eve couldn't kick it to the serpent, and Adam can't kick it to Eve. Everybody is responsible and has their own accountability and culpability for who they have sinned against. The Almighty's commandment was not, Adam, do not listen to this woman. The Almighty's commandment was, Adam, do not eat the fruit. Adam was not in violation of the Almighty's law for simply listening to his woman. She could have been telling him something righteous to do. He wasn't in violation for listening to her. That's not what the Almighty outlawed. The Almighty didn't say, you are in violation of my law. I command you never to listen to this woman. The Almighty told him not to eat the fruit. This is what Adam did wrong. He ate the fruit. The fruit, the eating of the fruit is the sin. You ate of the fruit. Eve listening to the serpent was not the sin. The sin was her eating the fruit. You disobeyed my commandment not to eat the fruit. Adam disobeyed the commandment not to eat the fruit. There is no way that anybody should be trying to put that responsibility on anybody else, except for these weak-ass, cowardly, insufficient, ignorant men who operate out of insecurity, ignorance, stupidity, that want to put the onus of the reason why the whole world is messed up is women's fault. Let's just think about that. Let's marinate on that a little bit. And let me continue reading. Hold on. Adam's curse. Because the woman's curse was a doozy, but so was Adam's. So, in 17 again. And unto Adam he said, because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. This is the reason why I'm cursing you, because you ate of the tree, and you hearkened unto her and ate of the tree, saying, cursed is the ground for your sake, and sorrow shalt you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. And in the sweat of your face shall you eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it were you taken, for dust you are, and unto dust shall you return. So Adam has been cursed to eat by the sweat of his face, and in sorrow he is going to have, the ground is cursed for his sake. In sorrow he has to eat of it all the days of his life, and it's going to bring forth thorns and thistles. And the reason why the Almighty is mentioning that the earth is going to bring forth thorns and thistles is because the Almighty is expressing to Adam that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. So not only are you going to have to eat from the ground and get it out of the mud, but the stuff that comes up, that grows up, it's going to have thorns and thistles on it. It's not going to just be easy. Not only is it going to be difficult to grow it, it's going to be difficult to access the things that you need within it. You ain't just going to be able to go in there and grab you an apple. You're going to have to dodge thorns, thistles. You're going to have to clip. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Not only from the sweat of your faces, you're going to have to do it and get it out the mud. I'm going to have it bring up thorns and thistles with it too. The ground is cursed because of you. Nothing easy is about to come. You're going to have to work for it all. What was it before the curse? What was it before they ate it? I'm going to tell you right now, my assessment of the story. These are people who were supposed to be infantilized mentally. They were not initially created to know the difference between good and evil. That is the difference between children and adults, innocence and non-innocence. That is the reason why, and this is the thing. This is when judgment, this is the reason why now, once their eyes were open and they know the difference between good and evil, their innocence is lost. And now you have to judge them differently because now they know the difference between good and evil. So you know that whatever it is that they do, intention is attached to it. Pay attention. When you know the difference between right and wrong, whatever it is that you're doing, you have some sort of intention, right or wrong, behind it. That's the difference between adults and children. That's the reason why you don't judge children the way that you judge adults. That's the reason when you come into the kitchen with a child that's 3-4 years old, they done got into a bag of flour and then threw the shit all over the kitchen and tore the kitchen up. You know that they were doing that in the spirit of being a child. You know that they had no intention behind it. They found something fun and creative to play with. Ooh. They wasn't doing it like, yeah, she gonna come home from work. She gonna be salty. We gonna have to clean this up. You know that they didn't do that. They don't have that knowledge. They don't know that. So you can't judge them according to that. You understand? As mad as you got to be, you know you can't just haul off and just go crazy and whoop their ass and put them on punishment like that because you know they didn't do it with no malice. They did it with no intentions. They don't know no better. They just out here being a kid. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You understand? We judge that differently versus your 15-year-old who now has the information, who now knows the difference between right and wrong. They know how hard it is to clean something up. They know they don't want to sweep. That you understand? If I come home and my 15-year-old then tore up my kitchen, then spread and had a flower fight with their brother, see, that punishment is going to be different because I know you know better. You have knowledge here. You have knowledge of good versus bad here, whereas a child does not. So what I'm saying is that Adam and Eve, before they ate the fruit, the intentions for these people was to not know the difference between good and evil, meaning that Yahweh had the intention of not judging these people according to that. They were going to be children. Whatever they did, whether they messed up, whether it was good or bad, whether they made a mess, the Almighty was going to be judging them according to the fact that they don't know the difference between good and evil. You understand? When they ate the truth, and this is the reason why the Almighty says, surely, when you eat, if you eat of this fruit, you're going to die. Why? Because of judgment. Now judgment is on the table for everything that you do. I'm not excusing nothing because now you know. Meditate on it. That's one thing that I peep from the story. So after they eat the fruit, after they have knowledge of good and evil, now structure has to be put into place. Now rulership and government has to be put into place. You understand? Now rules, laws have to be put into place. Now punishments, penalties have to be put into place. You understand? Where there is knowledge of good and evil, you have to have law, punishment, penalty, structure, government. You understand? Because everybody with the knowledge of good and evil, people are operating with intention, their own intentions. And it's good or it's bad. It's, it's selfish or it's not. I just wanted to point that out in the story of Adam and Eve that nobody ever pays attention to. It's important stuff. So I think that based on the story, I think that the Almighty intended these people to be infinitely infantilized, to enjoy the earth as children. And they took that option away by gaining the knowledge of good and evil. And now that that's in the earth, it's a whole nother ball game, because now you're aware and now you have to be judged accordingly to the entire design of the planet. And now that I'm thinking about it, which is even more interesting, I think that this is the reason why, one of the reasons why now you have to leave this environment. This environment was set up for you to be perpetual infants and paradisal ignorance is bliss type of thing. Now this environment, no, you go out into the real world where it's dog eat dog, where knowledge of good and evil is all that reigns out here. The survival of the fittest. You understand what I'm saying? So interesting story, which I just wanted to point that out because I want y'all to understand where these ideals have come from. These ideals that seem like they new, but they're really old. And these men have internalized it and really touted it. And while a lot of men really feel like in their heart of hearts, they feel like they are above women. Women are supposed to be subordinate unto them. Women are supposed to be subjugated underneath them. Even though this right here, what the Almighty pointed out, is that this is in the confounds of a marriage up here. When it says in verse 16, your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. This is not the Almighty saying that if a man is born a male, he has dominion over a woman because she is born a woman. That is not what this is communicating. This is communicating when a man and a woman gets married in the government of a household, he shall rule over you in that government. This does not mean that if you are born a man, you are innately superior to a woman. They have interpreted that way, but is that what it is saying? You understand?
But can you break down 14 with the serpent? Like,
okay. Verse 14. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and thus shall you eat all the days of your life. Now, what I think is that initially, I don't think that how serpents go on their belly, initially, they might not have. They might have had legs, or they might have had another way to go. Maybe they had 4, maybe they had 6 legs. I don't know. Think about it makes me think about a monitor, that lizard.
Or even them being able to communicate with humans. I don't know.
Well, this is what I think in reference to the communication with humans. I don't think that serpents were speaking human.
Right.
What I think is that Adam and Eve being the beginning, I think that they had the mental capacity and the mental ability to understand these species.
Okay.
So I don't think that the species were speaking human. I think that the humans could listen to the birds chirp and understand. You understand what I'm saying? I think that the humans could listen to these various animals and comprehend and understand. I mean, I would think that before I would think that the serpent was talking to Adam, like, hey, you know what's up? No, I think that the serpent was talking serpent, but Eve could understand it. And these are just my theories. I mean, I don't know, but I think that especially with Adam being commissioned to name all of the animals, I mean, just the knowledge that they might have had and the relationship that they had with nature, I think that it was different. And I can see a human being having the capacity to understand with enough study what things are communicating, because clearly, like birds and stuff like that, they clearly communicate amongst themselves. It's clearly a pattern or a language. You understand what I'm saying? That they're speaking to one another. Insects, whales, all of these, they all communicate with one another. So there's a patterning there. What I'm saying is that there's a language to be understood. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. We don't understand none of them, but I just think that Adam and Eve, being who they were, I think that they did. So I don't think that I don't think the serpent was speaking English or speaking whatever they spoke. I think that the serpent was talking to her. You know, they commune with, I mean, just imagine. Crazy. I mean, because for a time, I think the Native Americans was communing and communicating with certain animals, and some still can to an extent. You understand what I'm saying? Or even a relationship. I forget how many words that they said that dogs can understand. I think it's like 300 words a dog can understand.
Yeah, like 250.
So, I mean, but I'm saying if a dog can understand your language, you don't think that you can sit down and understand his? If you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I don't know. Anyway,
I get that. I didn't, and I know we're not even going there. I was just saying, like, okay, so he's gonna be on his belly, and so he's just gonna be slithering around, and he's like the lowest of the lowest of the lowest of the animals.
Yes. And it says in verse 15, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed, and it shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. And I mean, when a snake, I mean, that's how you kill a snake. Ultimately you have to cut off his head. To subdue a snake, you gotta get it behind his head and kill it. And then if he strikes at you, 9 times out of 10, he gonna strike up and he gonna strike you and bite you on your heel. And I don't know. I haven't thought super deep into this. I'm sure that it probably has a few different meanings. But I mean, I think that it's straightforward in our relationship with serpents. I mean, people are definitely afraid of serpents. It's like a whole thing. People do not like snakes. You got some people who don't mind, but universally, people don't like no snake. You feel me? Like, it's serious. You feel me? Snakes and spiders. People like, So I mean, I don't know, but clearly the serpent's existence changed after this interaction, and everybody did something wrong. Everybody was punished, and I just think that it's crazy that you have these people who Paul and like Slim Thug, who these are where these ideals come from. And not only do they think that everything, the downfall of humanity is the woman's fault, even though Adam made his decision to disobey the Almighty, they want her to be punished. They don't want her to have nothing, say nothing, do nothing, teach nothing. Like, it's deep. It's a deep enmity and a deep hatred that some of the very dangerous ideology for women, very dangerous, and men hold it to be true. I wish that Ruben was on this call, because me and Ruben was having a conversation one time, and I was shocked at what he was telling me about women, his ideals. You know what I'm saying? He believes that no woman can beat a man in a fight. What? It's weird. It's weird. I remember us having a whole conversation about it. And you questioning him, like, what? Like, so a trained fighter, a woman, can't come upon a regular guy and beat him? He's like, yeah, no. Like, anyway, I'm pointing this out because I want y'all to see the difference between the Almighty's word and the Almighty's design versus the New Testament and how they have lied on the Almighty and why everybody hates the Almighty. The Almighty has been lied upon, is what I'm saying. And people are turned off from religions and Christianity and these spiritualities because of the hatred of women. And they think that it goes across all of the books. They think that Yahweh looks at women and has put women here on this planet to be subordinate to men. And according to the Almighty's book, that is not true.
Right.
That's what Paul said. The Almighty is about to give you an illustration of a whole female war general commanding 10,000 men. Where are they supposed to be? Where are they supposed to go up? Who they supposed to fight? What time and when? The captain ain't even willing to go without her, and had to check him when he like, if you don't go, I ain't going. She like, ain't nobody tell you I wasn't going. I'm absolutely going. This ain't about you. The Almighty is about to deliver them into a woman's hand. Of course I'm going. What are you talking about? I think he was asking her. I think he said that out of ignorance. Like, she ain't gonna want to go. She like, hold up. I never told you I wasn't going. How about it? Anyway, let's go back to Judges. I just wanted to read that. Let's go back to Judges, the 4th chapter, because this is a very interesting chapter in reference to who women are, their station, what they can be. In the 4th chapter of Judges, let's go down to, I'm gonna start in I'll start back in 8 just for context. It says, and Barak said unto her, if you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, then I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with you. Notwithstanding, she like, because anyway, the journey that you take shall not be for your honor. For Yahweh shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali, which are tribes of Israel. He called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. Now check this out. Now Heber, the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses. So Heber is the son of Moses's father-in-law. Moses's father-in-law's name was Jethro. Jethro was a Kenite, and he has one of his sons' name was Heber. Pay attention. Okay. Now, I'm going to start reading 11 again. It says, now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses. So the children of Hobab are the children of Moses' father-in-law, Jethro. And Heber had severed himself from the Kenites and pitched his tent unto the plain of Zanaim, which is by Kadesh. So Heber was not living, he was a Kenite, but he didn't live with the Kenites. He severed himself from his father's house, and he lived over here by Kadesh, where the fighting is going to happen. Verse 12. Okay, so, and they showed Sisera that Barak, the son of Abinoam, was gone up to Mount Tabor. So Sisera finds out that Barak is going up to the Mount Tabor. So Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him, from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river of Kishon. So he gathered up his whole posse and his chariots and went over to the river of Kishon. Verse 14. And Deborah said unto Barak, up. So this is Deborah commanding her troop. She told Barak, get your ass up, okay? For this is the day in which Yahweh has delivered Sisera into your hand. Is not Yahweh gone out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him, and Yahweh discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his host with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet. So Barak decimates Sisera and his fleet to the point where Sisera got to jump down off his chariot. He take off on foot. Okay. His army done been decimated. He done jumped off the chariot. He on foot now running through the woods. Okay. I just want y'all to keep up with the story. Verse 16. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the host unto Harosheth of the Gentiles, and all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. They slew everybody. No men are left. Howbeit, verse 17, Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent. Now, this is crazy. Pay attention. Verse 17. Howbeit, Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite. For there was peace between Jabin the king of Hazor and the house of Heber, the Kenite. So Heber was cool with the king, King Jabin. So remember, Sisera is the captain of Jabin's army. Jabin is the king. Sisera is the captain of his army. Sisera is the one that's been oppressing Israel. He the one with the 900 chariots. But the king is Jabin. And Jabin is cool with Heber. Heber is a Kenite, the son of Moses' son-in-law, that don't live amongst the Kenites and the people. He live on the outskirts over here near Kadesh. But Heber, but Heber is cool with King Jabin. They have peace. So Sisera's getting his ass whooped. He running, he fleeing on foot, and he decides to run to where Heber stayed because he know that Heber is cool with King Jabin. Are y'all following the story? Okay. Now check it out though. 17. Howbeit, Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite. So where he ended up running, he didn't run to Heber. He ran to Heber's wife, Jael. That's whose tent he came when he was running from the children of Israel. He ran to Jael's tent, which within itself, pay attention. Jael has her own tent. Okay, pay attention. Verse 18. And Jael went out to meet Sisera and said unto him, Turn in, my master, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray you, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man does come and inquire of you and say, Is there any man here? You shall say no. So he telling Jael, hide me, and if anybody come around here looking for me, you ain't seen. 21. Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent and took a hammer in her hand and went softly unto him and smote the nail into his temples and fastened it to the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. Pay attention. This is a woman. Not only is this a woman, this is somebody's wife. This is Heber's wife. And the reason why he ran over here is because the husband, Heber, was cool with the king. When this woman just slaughtered, when she just killed Sisera, does it say that she asked for her husband's permission? Her husband is the one cool with them.
Mm.
She didn't even confer with that husband. She didn't even talk to that husband. The reason why he came over there is because the husband cool with them. She done tricked this dude into the tent to slay him. Do it say she talked to her husband? Do she say she got permission from the husband? Did she confer with a husband? No. And the husband is the one who was cool with them in the first place. He gonna come home from the field like, what the fuck? It don't say that this husband even know anything about this. Pay attention. I'm gonna read 21 again. So then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent and took a hammer in her hand and went softly unto him and smote the nail into his temples and fastened it to the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary. So this woman didn't just think about a tent nail back in them days, like we dealing with a big tent. She didn't just take and just hit through his temple with the nail. It say she fastened it into the ground. She went to the ground with it. She fastened this dude's head to the ground with the nail of the tent. Does this sound like a submissive woman? What kind of woman do this sound like right here? So not only do you have Deborah being the head or the general of the army who subdued Sisera and his 900 chariots, then you got Sisera run to the tent of the wife of somebody that was cool with her husband or cool with the king. Her husband was cool with the king. And she tricking, telling him to come in, and while he sleep, she drive a stake through his temple to the ground.
Mm.
No men in sight. No men being conferred. Not even her husband, whose boy it was. Interesting. What verse was on?
22. Well, we just read 21.
22. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him and said unto him, come, and I will show you the man whom you seek. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. So Elohim subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, king of Canaan. So in this particular story, two women were just used to destroy a whole entire king, a whole entire regiment and army of people, and to restore the children of Israel. Why do you think the Almighty included this story into his books? This is crucial. This is very important. And these ideals of these women, who these women were, the decisions that they were making, they go against what we have been taught in this misogynistic wild culture as far as what a wife is, what that looks like, what a wife is doing, what she does, what she is, ain't willing to do, submission, all types of stuff. Jael didn't confer with her husband first. She killed the army general of one of her husband's homeboys without asking anybody, fastened his head straight to the ground, killed him. You understand? She was also somebody's wife. Deborah was also somebody's wife. And while being married, she was also a judge and an army general and a prophet, all while being a wife. I don't know if either one of these women had children, but if they didn't, I mean, do you think what I'm trying to point to the purpose of human beings? People try to put the onus of the purpose of a woman, like the purpose of a woman in the Bible is to just, serve men and to be housewives and, be docile and submissive and help him do X, Y, and Z. That's not necessarily true. You can be none of those things and be a wife. How about it? You can be none of those things. You can have a desire to be none of those things. You can be married and not even want children. You can want to go sit up under a tree and judge the people all day. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to show this because it is in direct contradiction to what the majority of these ninjas think that a woman's power is and a woman is here for. Now, I don't have time. I will read something out of the book of Esther. Hold on. Let me find it, though. I want y'all to see something. Yeah. Hold on. Okay.
And we went over last week. We went over the definition of a wife, right?
I'm not sure if we did. The word wife simply means simply put, the simple translation of a wife is woman. So I don't know if we went over that. We can go over. And the interesting thing is that people think that it's these stringent rules as far as what a wife is supposed to be. No, the stringent rules are what a husband is supposed to be. All the wife's only responsibility is to make sure that her husband does not find any uncleanness in her. So basically, she's there, to make sure as long as he's happy.
Mm-hmm.
That could look many different ways. Maybe that's having his kids. Maybe that, I don't know. It's going to be different per person, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But a woman is there to make sure that her husband does not find any uncleanness in her. He got stringent rules as far as what he's supposed to do to her. And she's supposed to keep him content to make sure that he wants to continue doing it because he don't have to. A man can send his wife away if he finds any uncleanness in her. He might find out your feet stink and can't deal with it. You feel me? He might find out, I don't know, and be like, yeah, no, I don't want to spend my life force on this woman, so I'm going to send her away. He's allowed to make the decision to say, listen, I don't want to do this no more because he got rules. He got to provide your raiment. He has to provide your food, your shelter. He has to provide his duty of marriage to you. He got all of them responsibilities. And let's not forget that before he even gets access to you, he has a dowry to pay for you, especially if you're a virgin. In the Almighty's design, a man has to invest in you. Imagine how different things would be if a man had to invest his time, energy, money, land into you and your family before they would give him access to you. You had to break bread. You had to break land. You had to do something. This is before the marriage. You have to be invested. And this is the majority of the problem. Chicks is dealing with these dudes with zero investment, period. He hasn't invested a thing. He hasn't worked for you. He hasn't had to give his money over for you. He hasn't had to build you a house. He did nothing. He's not invested. So soon as he get what he want and he feel like, I'm not interested anymore, it costs him nothing to pack his raggedy duffel bag and walk away down the street to the next victim.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when you invest it, though. It's different. That's the Almighty's design, though. The one that people think is outrageous. Let me show y'all this. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's go to the book of Esther. Yeah, let's go to the book of Esther real quick. Esther is another interesting read about a woman. She became the queen of King Ahasuerus. I recommend the whole read of the book. It's a short book. I just want to show y'all something up in here, though. In the 8th chapter, let me see. Okay, I'm going to start reading in the 8th chapter of Esther. I'm going to start reading in verse 5, and I'll give a synopsis of what's going on here so that we can understand. I don't want to go through this whole story because I just want to focus on this particular part with the lesson. So in verse 5, verse 4, it says, "Then the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred?" Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther, the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. So the reason why I'm reading this particular verse is because I'm showing you that this king Ahasuerus gave Esther Haman's house. So let me just synopsize what has happened here. Esther and Mordecai are Israelites. They are in these people's land, and Esther is beautiful. Esther is Mordecai's niece. So Esther's mother and father are dead, and Mordecai is her uncle, and Mordecai has raised her like his daughter. And they are in captivity in these people's land, and Esther is not exposing the fact that she's an Israelite. She's just beautiful. So the king, he done fell out with his queen. His queen is acting funny style. He done had a big party one night. He called upon his wife to come so everybody could look at her because she looked good, and she wouldn't come. So he was beefing with his wife. You know, his boys in his ear, like, man, she done played you in front of everybody. Now everybody's wife is gonna want to act funny style against their husbands. If the king's wife ain't gotta come, you think their wife gonna come? Like it's a whole mess. Mm-hmm. So the king falls out with his wife, and his boys convince him, like, man, you don't have to have her as no queen. You can get all the bad chicks in the land and have them come up here. You get you another queen. So when he called all the bad chicks of the land, Esther came, and Esther was bad. He chose Esther to be one of the ones. And throughout the process of him dealing with Esther, he likes Esther the most, and she becomes queen. Okay. In the process of this, the king made this guy named Haman his right-hand man. And his right-hand man, like, he put him above the princes and the rulers. He had super clout next to the king. And Mordecai wouldn't bow to him. The king made a decree that you were supposed to bow before Haman, and Mordecai, being an Israelite, wouldn't do it. The Almighty has already told you, we don't bend, we don't bow to nothing but the Creator. So Haman gets word of it, and he grows to despise Mordecai, because Mordecai won't bow. And then he found out that the children of Israel in general, that spread all throughout their land, is on this type of time. They don't bow. He hates them. So he gets the king to sign a decree to kill all of the Jews. Israel. All of the Israelites that's in their lands, kill them all. He gives Haman this authority. So Esther convinces the king basically it ends up that Esther convinces the king to not do this decree. Mordecai gets exalted because Mordecai had saved the king from two people that was plotting against him, and everything that Haman had planned to do to the children of Israel happened to him. He hated the Israelites. He wanted Mordecai killed. Mordecai ended up being exalted. The king ended up giving Esther Haman's house. But the reason why I wanted to show that is just to show you that even within marriage, this is a queen who is married to the king, but you see the king giving her property. The king gave her Haman's house. Like, yeah, I ain't fooling with Haman, and I hung him from the gallows. He hanging, from a rope down somewhere. Here, you take his house. He gave his house to Esther. I just wanted to point that out because, once again, this is a married woman that her husband is giving her property. Esther had her own house that the king gave her. Like, we have this ideal of what these marriages and what that looks like and what submission looks like. Women were allowed to own property and have their own stuff. Make it so bad, I think that he gave her Haman's house. I think it's some other land that she had wanted. He asked her what she wanted to marry the king, and he gave her some other land too. Like, you could demand certain stuff of these people that they had to give you before you married them and everything. This was not like you understand what I'm saying? I'm just trying to combat the ideals that we have or that we've been given by these misconstrued and these misinformed men as far as what marriage is and what women could and could not be. Let me show y'all something else. And go to Proverbs 31. In Proverbs 31, in verse 10, it says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." So this is the chapter in which you can find the criteria or the identifying characteristics and character of a virtuous woman. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I want y'all to go down to verse 15, 16. Well, 15, I'll start in 15. It says she rises, and this is talking about a virtuous woman. So she rises also while it is yet night or still night, and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. So she has the capability to go out and scout and purchase land, an estate. She sees a field that's good for her household and she'll buy it. And with the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. It says she girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms. She works out. She's strong. Like, these women ain't know, oh, this is a virtuous woman. She strengthens herself. She strengthens her arm. You can just try and run up on her if you want to. I'm saying this ideal of femininity, especially based on the European ideal of femininity and daintiness and weakness. I don't think that that's what the Almighty had in mind for his virtuous women. These are women of strength. These are women who scout and own property. These are women who conduct commerce. Go down to verse, check this out. Go down to verse. Go down to verse 24. It says, well, I'll read 23, but the point is 24. In 23, it says, her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. And it says she makes fine linen and sells it and delivers girdles unto the merchants. She got side hustles. She got businesses. She makes and sells stuff and takes it herself down to the merchants and sell her stuff. This is explaining what verse. You understand what I'm saying? Nothing about what the Almighty has said about women fits this ideal and that these men and these people are selling based on the ideals that they've gotten from the New Testament. A woman being a virtuous woman, a woman being a wife, she can be a business owner, she can be a land owner, she can purchase land, she can sell her goods, she can be a judge, she can be a general. You understand? She can be all of these things. And she's strong. She girds herself in strength. She's not weak. She's not expected to be weak. The expectation of a woman being weak is to play into the ideal of subordination. Now, mind you, if you ain't got to be strong, you ain't got to be strong. But at the same time, look, this sign, this shirt, this is one of my furniture guru signs. We sell furniture. You know how many times and how many men have come over to purchase furniture from us, and either me or my wife helped them, and they're flabbergasted. I think somebody told Arlene, oh my God, I can't believe you lifted that. Oh my God, I can't believe, who's going to help? You're going to help? Well, they look at me and think I can help. But Arlene, they be like, she going to help? Then she get to throw on the sofa better than them. They're like, oh, snap. I would never, my wife could never. Arlene, tell them. These men, they can't believe it. Like, oh my God, you can lift a sofa? Yeah, we can lift a sofa. Get out of here. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I just want to punch through some of these ideals of womanhood that these people have gotten from that insane book that they call the New Testament. That's where these ideals come from. They don't come from the Almighty's book. The Almighty's book is not going to give you anything but ideals of strength, virtue, fortitude, and endless possibilities when it comes to women. And not only are we all of these things, but according to what we just read in the book of Judges, women can also be killers too. How about it? Some of us, we have that capacity. We also have the capacity to be killers too. Go figure. You understand? And now that we outline these women in the physical sense, human women, let's get into the physical principle and how important the feminine is in scripture to even drive it home further. Find a little water. Let's turn our Bibles, or let's go to the first chapter of Proverbs, because I told you that the most important characters in the book are feminine, are female. Last week, we covered extensively the way in which the nation of Israel, the children of Israel as a collective, as a nation of people, is a woman. The Almighty's wife, to be exact. A female. The children of Israel is what the entire Old Testament is about. The entire subject matter. The relationship between Yahweh and this people, his wife. That is the significance of the book. Past, present, and prophesied into the future. The whole entire future of the earth. The other main character here is intertwined with this group of people who the Almighty esteems as a woman. We've seen that beyond a shadow of a doubt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. As a nation, the children of Israel is a woman. But also, as a nation of people, the Almighty is also, the children of Israel is also the Almighty's firstborn son. The children of Israel are various things. I might even go over that today. But as a nation of people, the children of Israel is a feminine. So today we're going to focus on, go to the first chapter of Proverbs. Let me get there. In the first chapter of Proverbs, go down to verse 20. And in verse 20 of the first chapter of Proverbs, it reads, wisdom cries out, wisdom cries without. She utters her voice in the streets. She cries in the chief place of concourse. In the openings of the gates, in the city, she utters her words, saying, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scornings, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. So, who is speaking here, who is being personified here, is wisdom. Wisdom cries without. She utters her voice in the streets. The reason why I'm reading this is because wisdom and understanding are she's. They are feminine. They are of the female and feminine principle, wisdom and understanding is. The same way the children of Israel is, and as we're going to read a little bit later, the same way the earth is. The earth is a she. I understand all of the importance and the ideals of grandiosity that the men have given themselves. The Almighty has given the entire earth balance. Even though everybody wants to be selfish and wants to appoint themselves self-aggrandizement. The men want to, the women want to as well. Self-aggrandizement. And they want to have arguments on who's greater, who's lesser. The Almighty is all about balance. 100% equal. And he hates an unjust weight or an unjust balance. Women are, the feminine principle is super hefty and super important, equally with the masculine. But I just want to point out that the most important characters in this whole entire book are all females. From the nation of the children of Israel to the earth to wisdom and understanding. The Almighty said that wisdom is a she. Now let me show you why this is so crazy and so important. Go to Proverbs, because we don't come back. But go to Proverbs chapter 3. In Proverbs chapter 3, I'm going to start reading in verse 13 and read down. In Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verse 13. Happy is the man that finds wisdom, and the man that gets understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. So the merchandise of wisdom and understanding is worth more than gold and silver. Verse 15. She is more precious than rubies. Wisdom accompanied with understanding. Its principles are females. And just think, I want y'all to pay attention to, in this misogynistic culture that we live in, how the feminine principle or anything that's considered to be feminine is considered bad. When they say that a man is weak or something is weak, it's pussy. When something is being weak or people being chatterboxes and doing something undesirable, you acting like a woman. When it couldn't be the furthest from the truth. If you analyze it, what's tougher? A pussy or a vagina or dick and balls?
Facts.
We shouldn't be saying that when something is weak, it's pussy. We should be saying that's dick and balls. But it's been switched the exact opposite. When a man has courage or shows strength, they say, what? He's got big balls. Even though balls are very delicate. If you flinch at a man's balls,
And if they're too big, something is wrong.
and if you flinch at them, act like you want to hit them. Act like you want to kick one of them up. You see what they do.
Right.
I'm just saying. But in the speech, in the connotations of this culture, when we speak about things that are bad or weak, it's always in the terms of the feminine. They acting like women. Y'all out here acting like women. Women do that. This is bitch talk. This, everything equated with women is equated as being weak and undesirable. I think it has something to do with men's hatred or dislike of women. Because everything that's associated with women seems to be weak and undesirable in reference to them and their masculinity. It's weird stuff. It's weird. Especially when wisdom and understanding are female or feminine principles. The feminine is associated with wisdom and understanding. And we are about to read about the benefits of wisdom and understanding. Wisdom and understanding is not weak at all. According to Yahweh, wisdom and understanding is worth more than silver and gold. It is to be esteemed higher than money and riches. These female principles of wisdom and understanding, not nothing weak and undesirable. Wisdom and understanding, these feminine principles are to be desired above all. Even riches in the Almighty's book. But you see, nobody wants to read out of the book of what thus saith Yahweh. They lie on Yahweh and Yahweh's words. They don't know him. If you think that women are supposed to be weak and what's feminine is undesirable, it is because you have not sought out of the book of Yahweh. You have been listening to these heathens and you have been listening to these immature, insecure ass, ignorant men. Period. Let's keep reading. And it's got the nerve to say verse 13. Happy is the man that finds wisdom and the man that gets understanding. The men who take hold and find these feminine principles and brings them unto himself and executes them is going to be happy. It's crazy. It's a complete and utter contradiction with what is being taught about women and femininity. Let's keep reading. Verse 15. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you can desire are not to be compared unto her. You're not even supposed to be comparing her value to any of this materialistic stuff because she's got them beat. Wisdom and understanding, this female principle. 16. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Who holds the length of days and riches and honor in her right and left hand. This female here, wisdom and understanding. I want y'all to meditate on these things. It's so important. Verse 17, her ways are pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She'll lead you to peace. Wisdom and understanding, these feminine principles will lead you to peace. Verse 18, she is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her. Not only does she hold length of days and riches and honor in her hand, now she's the tree of life. The tree of life is a she. And the tree of life is wisdom and understanding. Are y'all paying attention? For everybody who says women are not adhered to in the Almighty's holy scripture and that the Almighty hates women, how, Sway? Let's keep reading. Verse 18, she is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retains her. Verse 19, Yahweh, by wisdom, has founded the earth. By understanding, has he established the heavens. What is this saying? This is saying that the Almighty has tapped into the feminine principles of wisdom and understanding to establish his creation of the earth. The Almighty is telling you, this is how I did it. None of this would have been possible without her. Is that not what the scripture is saying? Would anybody object that the Almighty is saying? It said Yahweh by wisdom has founded the earth, and by understanding he has established the heavens. And this is a man of war. Don't make me show y'all that scripture as well. Yahweh esteems himself as a man of war, but by the feminine principle of wisdom and understanding, he has created the earth and established the heavens. Are y'all paying attention? This is how important the feminine principle is. This is how important the female energy is. It is none of these degraded, berated things that they try and tell you that femininity is. All of this weak and submissive, ridiculous stuff that they tell you that the feminine energy is. The Almighty said that wisdom, being the feminine principle, holds the tree of life, holds length of days, holds the paths to peace. These are all of the things that the feminine principle are associated with in the Almighty's book. Not weakness and cattiness and gossip and worthlessness and being pussy and, all of those things, how men esteem the feminine principle and how men esteem our presence. This is how important our presence is. And this is what the female in your space represents. It's what she's supposed to represent. Now, don't get me wrong. We got some fools and some authors of some chaos amongst the women. Don't get me wrong. I'll never tell you that. I've been seeing some absolute foolishness going on. Women abandoning and leaving their kids for 5 and 10 days and all of this stuff. But these are women these are the results of women who are at war, are in a war behind enemy lines. I'm not making no excuses for them, but I'm just saying the same way that men's mentals and mentalities are broken down and damaged is the same way that your woman's mentality is broken down and damaged. But they translate differently. Last week, we were covering how the Almighty said that he was going to put a cup of trembling into the hands of the nation of the children of Israel. The men are scared. The men are cowards. What species of animal on this planet? I'm going to ask y'all a question, and I want y'all to use y'all rational, logical brains. When an animal of any species, human beings are animals, ladies and gentlemen. Just because we're at the top of the food chain, listen, we are a part of the animal kingdom. What animal do you know that is scared and angry that is not dangerous? You show that to me. When an animal is scared and an animal is angry and an animal is cornered, an animal is dangerous. Period. That goes for all human beings. And because of the different chemicals that rule the female and the male, fear and anger is going to translate differently. Sometimes it might overlap, but this is the reason why. Men have testosterone coursing throughout their blood. When men are afraid and angry, that is not going to translate the same as the woman who has estrogen being dominant coursing through her blood. Still dangerous, destructive results from both. Men is going to be out here on the street corners, knocking people over their head, killing themselves, killing other people, femicide, murder, rape, all of these physical aggressions. Women are not going to display it in the same way. Their aggressions a lot of times are going to be micro. Their aggressions a lot of times are going to be enacted on their children, people who they have authority over. You understand? It's not going to look the same. It's not going to translate the same as to how that fear and that anger manifests. It's definitely going to manifest more violently with the males because of the chemical that they're ruled by, biologically, what they're set up for, what that chemical does to their brains and to their muscles and to their heart when it's enacted. When fear and anger is enacted in a male, the chemicals that it triggers is not the same chemicals that are triggered when fear and anger is enacted in a woman. So you don't necessarily get the same results. I'm just putting that out there because people oftentimes want to compare, well, why the dudes is doing all of the killing? Yeah. The chicks is not going to get out here and do all of the killing. It's going to, but they're sick too. It's just going to manifest differently. They going to leave 2 kids in the house for 5, and the one lady, she left her kids for what, 5 years? Did y'all see that story? Yeah. Me and Arlene just saw a horrific story. That story, what is that baby's name? That girl who was getting raped by the 41-year-old boyfriend of the mother. She was 12, 13. He was having sex with her and killed her. They never found her body. See, the man is the monster. He raping her. He doing this physical thing. But his girlfriend or his wife that he had 5 kids with, she knew. You see? They both monsters. It's manifesting itself in different ways, but they both monsters. You see? Because we are male and female. We have different chemicals ruling us as animal species. We are not affected the same with the same triggers. You know, and people are so confused by it. They talk on these shows and go round and round and round and round by it. But anger and fear is the foundation of the majority of our people's behavior. The majority of things that we are doing. Ignorance are done out of ignorance, fear, and anger. We're ignorant as hell. We scared as hell. And we're angry as hell. And thus, this is what you get. But anyway, the Almighty said in verse 19, it says, Yah, by wisdom, has founded the earth. and by understanding has he established the heavens. By his knowledge, the depths are broken up and the clouds drop down the dew. I have to call out how important wisdom and understanding is. The fact that they are females is part of the feminine principle. The Almighty said that he established. As tough as the Almighty is, and a man of war as the Almighty is, the Almighty tapped into his feminine principle to create this and to establish this. Let me show you. Go to Exodus, the 15th chapter. I have to show y'all this because the men and the women have to understand the importance of the duality of an entity, a being. In the 15th chapter of Exodus, I'll start reading verse 2. Well, actually, I'll start in verse 1 because this is the one and something that I recognize too, even in Judges, after Deborah has this victory over Sisera, in the next chapter, chapter 5, Judges chapter 5, Deborah and Barak break out into song. I'm recognizing that a lot of oral history with the children of Israel is passed down through song. The 32nd chapter of Deuteronomy is a song that Moses sang unto the people. But you have to understand, it was no tablets and cell phones and you know what I'm saying? An abundance of paper and books. How people remembered things would be through song, which makes sense. Because once you learn a song, it's done. You got it. You understand what I'm saying? Through rhythm, through repetition, that's the way of remembering a thing. And if you put something in song and it's the jam, you remember that forever. I could sing Planet Rock right now. I'm just saying. But they did a lot of things through song. That's the reason why I'll start in the first verse just so y'all can see this. So after the Almighty, Moses split the Red Sea and the armies of Pharaoh were defeated, the next thing that happens is that Moses breaks into song. In Exodus, the 15th chapter, verse 1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto Yahweh, and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahweh, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider has he thrown into the sea. Yahweh is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my Elohim, and I will prepare him a habitation. My father's Elohim, and I will exalt him. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. I just wanted to point this out. Yes, Yahweh is a man. Yes, Yahweh is a man of war. But even this man of war, even this man who identifies as, and when I'm talking about man in reference to the Almighty, see, we denote male and female by gender. Male and female is also associated and accompanied with gender when we're dealing with the human species. But when we're not dealing with the human species and we're dealing with the creator of the universe, we are not dealing with genders. We're dealing with dominant energy. You understand? We're not dealing with the fact that penis and testicles make you a man. We're dealing with the makeup of what dominates, because human beings, both male and female, are all a duality. Females are ruled by estrogen, but we all have testosterone as well. But what's dominant, because of our chromosomal structures, is estrogen. Same thing with men. Men have estrogen. But what's dominant is testosterone because of their chromosomal makeup. of the Y and the X. What makes them a man is that Y chromosome. What makes them male is that Y chromosome, shall I say, which gives them the male sex organs and the sperm. And you understand? When we're dealing with the creator, we're not dealing with genitalia, we're dealing with the dominant energy. The Almighty is a man. The dominant energy is masculine. But even with the Almighty being a man and a man of war, when it came time for him to establish the earth and to establish the heavens, he tapped into his femininity to do that. Which, according to Yahweh, he has a 7-day Sabbath day that we are to acknowledge and goes into infinity to memorialize and to remember his creation. That's how great of a creation he esteems the earth as. This is a great thing that the Almighty did in his own eyesight. His creation is the bomb, according to him. And it's to be memorialized and to remember by the Sabbath day. Weekly, perpetually, we are supposed to take this day and rest and remember how the Almighty was finished with this great work on the 7th day. And the Almighty said that this great work that he did, that he memorialized into infinity, was established by the feminine principles of wisdom and understanding. Do y'all understand what I'm trying to say? This is the importance of the feminine energy, the strength of the feminine energy, the essentialness of the feminine energy, which we have been taught about completely wrong and negatively. And like I said, if we're going to go according to what thus saith Yahweh, it's no way that you read out of the book of Yahweh and come away with the idea that the female human, the female principles, the female characters in this book are weak or negative or the bane of human existence. None of that comes from what thus saith Yah. You're only going to get that from what Paul said, what Paul and Peter is talking about back here in the New Testament. And mind you, I definitely think that all of these men were homosexuals. All of them. The way that they talk about women, it's no way. Let me show y'all something else in the New Testament. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. Hold on, let me look one other place to see if I can find it. Let me see if this is it in 1 Corinthians. Hold on. Let me see here. It sounds about right, but I'm not sure. 1 Corinthians. Let me see here. This ain't even. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Let me show you something else that they've said about women, wives. And you got people who claim to be Christians that are married to men. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's nuts. Okay? This is just nuts. And you tell me if these are not if these men are not suspect to be homosexuals. In First Corinthians, the 7th chapter, I'm going to start reading in verse 1. It says, now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Okay? Let me just repeat that. The chapter start off, wow. Okay? Now concerning the things whereof you wrote to me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife has not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband has not power of his own body, but the wife. What are these people trying to communicate to y'all? First and foremost, again, Paul is telling you that it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, just so you don't fornicate, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband. So he is saying that the only reason why you get married and you have a husband and a wife is to avoid fornication. Other than that, it would be good for you never to touch a woman. But just so you don't get in trouble and fornicate, go ahead and get you a husband or you a wife. Listen, this is crazy. The first statement alone, that it is good for a man not to touch a woman, that goes specifically against what the Almighty has said. Okay? That is nuts. That is crazy. That is spoken like someone, I feel like, who does not enjoy the sexual engagement of a woman. This is the reason why I think that these people over here, the authors of the New Testament, I do believe were homosexuals. Because who other than a homosexual would say something crazy that is good for a man not to touch a woman? This is where you get your convent. This is where you get your nuns, your priests. This is the reason why the Catholic priesthood, they go off, they vow not to touch women and marry. And then what happens? They rape everything in sight. Nuns and little boys. It's a whole scandal throughout the whole entire world with the Catholic Church on sexual assault and homosexual sex rampant, because they're trying to live by these things that are not the Almighty's design. I told you about that design. The Almighty did not design men not to touch women. And anywhere where you have men who don't have access to touching women, we have some problems. I.e. the penitentiaries, i.e. the Catholic convents, i.e. anywhere where you find a collection of men where there is no women and no feminine energy, we have problems. Am I lying? But this is the New Testament. The New Testament will tell you something crazy, like you are not supposed, it's good for a man not to touch a woman. Let me show you something out of what thus saith Yahweh. Because this is crazy. Go to the 18th chapter of Proverbs. Let's go back to the Almighty's book. Because that in the New Testament is full of foolishness. The Almighty has said no such thing. In the 18th chapter of Proverbs, if we go down to verse 22, in reference to finding a wife in general, it says, whoso finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of Yahweh. So if you want to know whether or not the Almighty is showing you favor, A man can judge that according to whether or not he has found a wife. The Almighty said, the man that finds a wife has found a good thing and has obtained favor of Yahweh. This does not seem negative to me. Think about all of the negative connotations that these men have given marriage and having a wife. How negatively it's spoken about. Now they saying that it's good for a man not to marry. That is in exact opposition to what the Almighty has said about finding you a wife. And apparently, she just need to be in your life and show up. He gave no quick and dirty rules as far as what she's supposed to do. If you find one and you can take one and get one, the Almighty said, I have shown you favor. You have found a good thing. That's what the Almighty's book has to say about marriage and women. That does not sound like the same message as what we just read in Corinthians. That it's good for a man not to even touch a woman. But if you did, for the sake of fornication, go on and get you one. That's not what the Almighty said. And the Almighty also said, let me show you what the Almighty also said. Go to Genesis, Genesis, the 2nd chapter. Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. It says, and Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. It's not good for men to be alone. And if a man finds a wife, it's a good thing. It's not good for men to be alone. A man who has found a wife has found a good thing, has obtained favor from the Creator. All of these things are pointing to the fact that the Almighty said that a woman being in your life is a good thing. This is a positive thing. I haven't seen the Almighty say anything about attaching yourself to a woman yet. I haven't seen the Almighty say anything about attaching yourself to feminine principles being negative yet. Nowhere in the book. But these are where they get these ideals from the homosexuals who authored the New Testament. And I do think that they are homosexuals because that's the only kind of man that I could imagine that would be going around preaching that it's not good for a man to touch a woman. Big, you on the call, you a man. Does that make sense? That it's not good for a man to touch a woman?
Nah, it don't make no damn sense. Nah, it don't make no sense.
That don't make no sense. I'm a woman. It's not good for me not to touch a woman. I don't know. This is crazy. I don't know what they're talking about. That's crazy.
I bet a woman is favored from the Most High.
Facts.
Good thing.
Facts. Let's see here. I got one more place where I want to go. Oh, I gotta show y'all this too. Let's go back to Proverbs chapter 2. And I didn't go down to, let's go down to verse 10 in the 2nd chapter of Proverbs. Look at this. In the 2nd chapter of Proverbs, in the 10th verse, it says, when wisdom enters into your heart and knowledge is pleasant unto your soul, discretion shall preserve you, understanding shall keep you, to deliver you from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaks froward things, who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness. So what is this establishing right here? Wisdom holds the power of discretion, deliverance, and preservation. Let me read it again. Verse 10. When wisdom enters into your heart and knowledge is pleasant unto your soul, discretion shall preserve you. Taking hold on wisdom will give you discretion that will preserve you, and understanding will keep you. Wisdom has the power to preserve your life. It will have you avoid being in the wrong places at the wrong time. Them instances. Wisdom will have you avoiding some situations. Wisdom will preserve you. Wisdom will have you saying, you know what? They always down at the underground shooting on Saturday nights. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to the underground on Saturday nights. You feel me? Simple. Wisdom will preserve you. Wisdom says she be crying out in the streets. If you look at statistics here in Atlanta, I was looking at some insurance statistics. They said the majority of accidents, fatal accidents, happen between 11 and 3 a.m. on the weekend. That means that 11 to 3 a.m. on the weekends on the roads here in Atlanta is when it's the most off the hook. People are driving drunk. It's dangerous. They reckless. It's a dangerous time to drive in Atlanta on the weekend between 11 and 3. And if you live here, you know that. So wisdom would tell you what? If you have to be out at those later times and you driving on the road, you need to be super vigilant. You need to be super careful. Get your ass over into the slow lane. Keep your head on a swivel. Wisdom is going to preserve you. Don't just be out here thinking that you can just look in your mirror and get over in the lane. You got to look in your mirror. You got to turn your head, and then you got to turn your head again for you even actually get over. Because they be racing and going 130 miles an hour. They be driving so fast, by the time you check your mirror and hit your blinker, they done entered. They coming up so fast, you didn't even see them in your mirror because they wasn't even up there yet. That's how fast they be driving. I'm just saying, this done happened to me before. I look, I check, I cut on my blinker, I go to get over, whoosh. Right? But what I'm saying is that wisdom, if you listen to her, the Almighty is saying that wisdom has the power to preserve you if you let her into your heart. If you're willing to listen to her. And you ain't out here on a dummy mission. I ain't scared of nothing. I don't gotta drive careful. Can't nothing touch me. I can can't nobody drive. I'm a race car driver anyway. You know, foolish things. Are you gonna let that rule you, or are you gonna let wisdom rule you? Because when you let wisdom into your heart, wisdom will preserve you. It has the power of preservation in it. Verse 11, discretion shall preserve you, understanding shall keep you, to deliver you from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaks froward things. So wisdom has the power to deliver you from the way of the evil man and the man that speaks perverse things and who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness. Wisdom will deliver you from these people. They come around talking about, you know, a scam. We can get money. We can do this. We can do that. Because people always got some sort of way, you know, to scam somebody, to, you know, I got a way we can hit a lick. We can, you know. Yeah, wisdom will deliver you from these people. You won't even be involved. And let it go even further, though. Let wisdom tell you and guide you on how to judge between people. I was listening to a panel and these women was talking about their basically boundaries that women should look into setting. And they were saying that a woman should not consider a man if he's been to prison. I said, I'm going to agree with that because I think that there's wisdom there. Men who have been in prison buck authority. Sometimes they show a derelict of character, and a lot of times those men are violent. Not all the time, but for the most part. When you are picking a partner, when you are picking a person that you are going to allow to enter into your body, a person that you are going to possibly put into a position to procreate children, a person you're going to bring into your house and introduce to your kids, a person you are going to attach yourself to financially. I think it's smart that if a man has a criminal record and has been to prison for violent acts, for drugs, for anything, they done been to that penitentiary, I don't think he's a candidate. I think that that's wisdom. And if you think about it, if women were to set that boundary and instantly strike men who have a prison record and who have been to prison, how many women would be preserved from these niggas killing them, raping them, taking their money, beating them up, all types of stuff? They could have been preserved just by having that boundary and listening to wisdom like, hey, yo, he's been to the penitentiary. And set that boundary for yourself. You tell me how many women do y'all think that will preserve? Just that boundary. If he's been to prison, that's a no-go. Sorry. And if you set that boundary for yourself, you don't have to tell the man that. That's for you to know. You talking to him, you getting to know him. They tell you they've been to prison. You ain't got to be like, I don't date men that's been to prison. You don't have to say nothing. You just find your exit. It was so nice meeting you. You know what I'm saying? I just think, maybe we are, you're not what I'm looking for. We're not compatible. You don't even have to go into your reasonings, but you need to have your own personal boundaries based on wisdom to preserve yourself. You feel me? You don't got to broadcast it, but I feel like that's operating out of wisdom. At my age, at my big old age, if I was that, it don't even matter what you dating. Because if I was in the market to be dating women, I would not be attaching myself to a woman who went to the penitentiary either. You feel me? Oh, you did a bid for what? Oh, you was scamming? You was whatever? Yeah, no, I'm Gucci. It speaks to your character. And that's not to say that you cannot change. That's not to say that you cannot make your own strides. But I'm not gambling my life on it. When you are involved in a sexual relationship with a person, your life is in these people's hands. Y'all do know that, right? You put your life in the hands of the person that you decide to have a sexual relationship with. You are trusting them and their decision-making skills and their character with your life. So I think it's cool. Go ahead and the ones who have been in prison, let's strike them off. Then I was thinking about, as they was having a conversation, I was thinking about the looks. They was talking about the look of some of these men. They was talking about the tattoos and this whole entire look. A man got tattoos all up on his neck and on his face. I think it's safe to say you might not want to date that man. I mean, what are you looking for here? I don't know what y'all are looking for. But if a man does not respect his face, he drawing doodles on it, he's not serious about anything. He's not serious about being taken seriously. in any regard. I do not care. He not serious. And I look at, you can look, I don't care if they're rich and successful. Like Gervonta Davis just fought last weekend. All these tattoos, he got tattoos on his face. Millionaire, multi-millionaire man. This man don't care about nothing. And he has a violent profession. I know for a fact, well, he already has accusations and cases for beating up women. But this is guaranteed. Why would you attach yourself to that man? Why would you put yourself in harm's way and deal with that type of man? You can look at him and see it. He don't care about nothing. That's if you listening to wisdom. Wisdom said it's crying out in the street. If you go out into the street, all the niggas with tattoos on their faces and tears and shit on their faces and shit, they all criminals. If you on the streets listening to wisdom, wisdom is trying to tell you, nah, sis, don't do that. This is what the Proverbs is trying to tell you about wisdom. Wisdom is crying out in the streets. You need to listen to her. I just wanted to show y'all that about wisdom as well. Wisdom has the power of deliverance and preservation within her. If you accept wisdom into your heart, she will preserve you and she will deliver you if you're willing to use wisdom to deduce things. Because a lot of these no good ninjas, they definitely have a look. A lot of times they do be. Some don't get me wrong. Some you can't just look at. But some of these ninjas y'all be attaching yourselves to, you can definitely look at them and know that they ain't talking about shit. I'm sorry. They're not being taken seriously. They're not candidates for gainful employment. They got tattoos and stuff all that. They can't even get no regular job. They're not going nowhere to get hired to do nothing. They better have a legitimate hustle. And then even then, if they have a legitimate hustle that's legit, they also have to have the skills and the fortitude to do the other 50% of business that makes you successful. I was just telling my tatted up neighbor over here. He's a criminal and he's tatted up. And he feels like if he takes his money and he buys a trailer and a lawnmower, he could get out here and he would be booming and successful in his business and do landscaping and this, that, and the third. And I had to tell him, listen, a skill that you know how to do and execute is only 50% of being successful in business. Being an electrician, knowing how to cut grass and landscape a yard, that's 50% of being successful in business. The other 50% of being successful in business is your work ethic, is your professionalism, is your ability to be on time and your punctuality, your ability to create your brand and to stand on it, how you represent and how you deal with your customers, your customer service.
Marketing.
Your market, all of this is what I'm saying. Only 50% of the business's success is based on the skill that you have. If you, it don't matter how good you can work on a car. You could be the best mechanic in the world. If you flaky, if you don't show up, if you do bad business, if you don't know how to quote your prices, you're not going to be successful. You understand? You're not going to last long in business at all. Even though you the baddest mechanic on the planet. It's only 50% of what makes you successful in business. It's only 50% of what's going to make you successful. Knowing how to do a thing. You need all of these other qualities. And it's the same thing with people that we attach ourselves to. Looking good is only 10% of what you need. Not even. Yes, you need attraction. You need people to look good and to be attracted to them. But it's so many other things that you need to take up those percentages for you to have a successful relationship. It's, you feel me? You feel me? So with that being said, I think that I'm finished. I'm trying to cut down on how much until I get a reader. I'm trying to cut down on how much I'm talking, and because it's hard. It's hard on my voice. It'd be hard on me the next day. My voice be scratchy. So on that note, I'm just going to say, let us lean towards and rely on wisdom. Let us analyze our ideals in reference to femininity, the feminine principle, and the female characters in the Bible. Let us reconsider how we have imagined a woman's power, a woman's role as a wife, a woman's role in society based on what is in the book of Yahweh, and understand that we have been lied to and that it's a huge propaganda machine against women, and what they can do and what they represent and how strong they can be. And let it inspire us all, male and female, to rise to that occasion, and start proving people wrong and stop trying to live up to and take hold of these ideals because they're not true. It's based on lies and misogyny and the hatred of women. And with a lot of these men like Slim Thug, I mean, make it make sense. The leader, people who claim to be the leaders are constantly blaming other people for everything. Make it make sense. A leader must take accountability for everything that you're leading. You can't have it both ways. You can't be the leader and it's everybody else's fault. You can't be a man and you the leader, but it's the woman's fault for telling you what to do. What? Make that, it's just weird. Anyway, it's weird. So on that, I'll adjourn and I'll ask, y'all got any questions, comments, or anything about anything that we went over today in class?
I don't have any questions. Appreciate everything that we talked about today. Always setting off new light bulbs for me. And I just appreciate that. And just being able to have this information and going into the next day, God willing, it's just like a superpower. All it is not all it is information. It's information, it's knowledge. Like you said, it's wisdom, it's understanding, having the ability, or it's like, hey, I'm glad I was able to be here for this.
That's what's up. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I am starting to put the classes up on YouTube. Last week's class is up on YouTube. I will go through and start breaking the classes up into smaller snippets. Y'all willing, hopefully I'll get to some of that this week. I'll post the whole class, but I'll also break it down into little parts of the lesson. I think that it might catch on to people if I do
Like
it.
little shorts. Like, can you do shorts?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to break it up into shorts. And probably put them on TikTok and TikTok to sort of lead them to the YouTube page. But as of right now, I think it's like 5 subscribers on the page, no views of the video that I posted. So we got to get that up and we got to get that running. So this class is being recorded. I will put it up. Okay. And hopefully we could just spread the word and bring people into the knowledge of the true and living creator, whose name is Yahweh. And Yahweh is the true and living creator and the only salvation of the whole entire earth, let alone the children of Israel. And he's been lied on. We don't know him. We don't know his principles. And I just want to make the Almighty's laws and statutes honorable again in the eyes of the people that despise the Almighty's word and think that the Almighty is some sort of woman-hating tyrant. Based on the scriptures that we went through today, do it sound like that the Almighty hate women?
Absolutely not.
Make women real strong.
I'm sorry, say it again, Big.
Yahweh made women very strong. Yes. Yep.
Facts. And I think that any real man that has dealt with any real woman will testify the same. I know that for a fact. So
it's true.
Yeah. Well, Indeed, I enjoyed y'all today. If y'all have questions or comments, y'all can always reach out to me via email or text me. I'll put some information on the YouTube page if y'all want to send y'all people to YouTube for anything. Or if y'all got any suggestions on how I can structure it or anything, let me know. Because, I don't know what I'm doing. I just feel compelled to do it. So I'm going to start putting our classes up for other people to take part in too. So, yeah. So y'all will let me know.
And then I guess once we get to, or once you feel comfortable enough with recording, and we could probably just do the lives and just allow people to join in. You
Mm-hmm.
can probably do two platforms at one time where you can go live from your cell phone on your page from Facebook, and
Yeah.
then you can also be live on YouTube, and then have those people come on over like as they.
Yeah. Yeah. We could do that too. I mean,
And
maybe
then when we're on Facebook and you go live, we can share it so our people can see it, and then they can always, if they're interested, they can see it as well. Yeah.
yeah. And maybe I'll do that next week. Maybe our first live will be next week.
Okay.
Get some interest. I got to think of something interesting to teach on next week.
It don't matter what we talk about. And if y'all's in there, they're gonna be like,
Facts. It'd be mad compelling and interesting. So you right.
yeah, it is. It's always, especially when we implement like the everyday life, like what we was talking about with just the male and the female, husband and wife. These are what those like. It's like be three big things I feel like people always go through life having hard times with. That's finances, that's love, and it's some other one, but those are the main ones. People always want to be in a relationship. They want their relationship to be successful. People always want money. They always want, you know what I'm saying? So, and some people struggling with money. They don't know how to earn it, or they can't keep it. Or some people make a lot of money and still unhappy because they can't find the right partner. But it's like those are the three. It's like two, three big things people always associate with, and they don't really talk about nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people talk about being successful, to stand the third, but that's not on the top of their list. People want to have a partner, someone to love, someone to come home to, and talk about their day with. Everybody need money to survive,
For sure.
So when we implement that into everyday, like what we talk about today, and then it's going back to scripture, like how the Most High feel about women, how He feel about men and their roles in this earth. It's just like it's all connected, like you said, the past, the present, and the future. You know what I'm saying? And it could set people up to be just to get it together. You know what I'm saying? And this is where you would go for information. You don't gotta go to, your mom or your brothers or your uncles, or some of them might not even have family members where they can kind of reach out to and get vital information that can actually help them. It's just like everything is right here.
Mm-hmm.
All the information.
It's chock full of valuable information.
So much.
And the design, and we just, we're a rebellious house. So I definitely have to teach on that because I don't think that we truly understand how deep it goes, Israel's rebellion and how rebellious we are as a house. Um, I was just looking at I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Umar Johnson, but
Mhm.
Umar
His
Johnson,
daughter.
yeah, his daughter just came out and said that she's 22 years old and he's a deadbeat and he's never been in her life. And he can be, that can be true about him and that can be a fact. And people will still support him and the people will get behind him and say, attack her. But it just speaks to the rebellion of the people and how backwards that the people truly are. The fact
Mm-hmm.
have these so-called leaders and people who profess to be leaders, and you find out that they're raping boys and men, or they don't take care of their kids and have completely made single mothers and abandoned their offspring, and you still support them. That speaks
And
to
fight it. Mm-hmm.
the rebellion of Israel. That speaks to our rebellion, our willingness to allow um supposedly leaders in our community to do these things, and we support it. We
And
give.
not judge them right like the way they're supposed to be judged. We talked about that in years, not years ago, months and months. We've been doing this for some while, some time now. But when you talk about blood touching blood, it's like people can't decipher between, like, I know that's wrong, but everybody else is doing this. So if I do it, how am I going to be? Or maybe you shouldn't look at it like that, because they just make up all kind of reasonings why people shouldn't be judged righteously. And it's just like, what?
Fact, because they don't know how to judge. And we learned last week too that when it came to the leaders of the people, before Moses set them up as leaders, the first thing that they had to do was they had to be taught. They have to learn how to judge and how to be righteous. These people don't know. They just be loud and wrong. They be loud and wrong. They be going off about something they don't know nothing about, handing down their judgments that are foolish and based in nothing, complete vanity. So yeah, yeah.
Goes on every single day, all day.
Yeah, you was gonna say something, Arlene?
No, I was just saying you're right. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay, well, until I'll adjourn and until next week, y'all got questions, comments, write them down. We can discuss any topic. Y'all got any more questions about that Savage New Testament too? I try not to be in the book too much, but sometimes I have to show y'all, some of the crazy stuff that's in there and the stuff that I just showed y'all a couple of things that it said about women in the New Testament. It goes on and on. It's that's not it. So it's crazy. Plus what we read is there's more. So yeah. Okay. Any questions, let me know, and I'll see y'all next week.
All right. Until next week. Yeah, have a good night.
All right.
Going to Eddie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. It's next Friday.
Okay.
Are you guys coming out here?
No, I
No.
can't make that trip, but that's the reason why how me and you met with Eddie.
I know. Yep, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, give the family my love.
I will.
Indeed.
I've been in touch with them, but
Yeah, I know. I know.
All right.
I just been speaking with Alex every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. I'll just because I'm gonna take off for work, or I might leave early. I don't know, and then I'm just go for a little while, and then just go back home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love you.
Love you too. Love y'all.
All right. Hallelujah. Till next
Hallelujah.
Bye.
Later, big.
Bye.
Sound like he in the car or something. All right, El.
All right, y'all.